When Harry Met Sally, a photography podcast, would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, the traditional owners of the lands and waters in which we are recording this podcast on today. As people who work with artists seeking meaning and knowledge through storytelling, we recognise the first peoples of this nation have been doing so for over 60,000 years. We pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging across Australia. Always was, always will be Aboriginal land.
And the When Harry Met Sally podcast would be nothing without our fabulous sponsors, would it, Harry?
Absolutely.
So first of all, we'd love to welcome a new sponsor on board for this year, which is the RACV. Thank you so much for being a wonderful sponsor, and we're really excited about having you on for Season 3.
And we'd like to welcome back and thank Nikon Australia, who are always a part of supporting the creative industries in Australia. Ted's Cameras, thank you so much for joining us again. And A&L Artistic Framers, who are just fabulous people to work with.
And last but not least, Col Arts. Thank you for the pod suites. This is our third year in here. We have added ferns and all sorts of wonderful things into the pod suite room this year. And it's without you, we wouldn't have a podcast really, would we?
We certainly wouldn't, and we hope you enjoy the episode.
Thanks, guys. Bye.
Welcome back to When Harry Met Sally. We are very thrilled to have the incredible Pippa Milne here today. Thank you so much for being in the studio, Pippa.
Such a pleasure.
Hi, Pippa. Hi, Harry.
Hi, Sally. I've got to not fangirl too much because I have loved watching your career and the many places that you've worked. And being a curator is something that I have sort of dreams, in a sub-life. I kind of dream of being a...
When you grow up, darling. When you grow up.
No.
When I grow up, I dream of being you.
No,
so
don't
I'm
do
not
that,
going to totally fangirl.
But do the curating, do it.
Yes, I've dabbled in little bits,
Yeah.
but I'm not quite on your scale. So I'm thrilled to have you here.
Yeah, it is an illustrious career, and we can't wait to start talking about it.
Good.
Yeah,
Yes,
but
please do.
where did you first start off? Because Harriet told me and I just went, really? Okay, and what happened then? So how did you start life out after school?
Well, I left school and I had no idea what to do. Like, absolutely no idea. And I do joke that I sort of peaked at high school. I was really good at studying and good at exams. And so I had good marks. And that meant that my careers advisor was like, well, you can do engineering or law or
I'd be a doctor.
medicine.
Oh,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
God.
Yeah, of course.
Just those career advisors.
Yes.
Nothing.
You're
Don't even
smart,
get me
so
started.
go here.
Yeah,
Don't
exactly.
get me started.
Yeah. And so I took a year off and moved to Italy for a year, learnt some Italian and travelled a bit and enrolled in law school and an art history degree.
In Italy or back in Melbourne?
Back in Auckland, actually.
Oh, in Auckland, yep.
Yeah, so I did my schooling in Auckland, grew up in Auckland, studied in Christchurch, and then worked for a large law firm in Auckland.
But you did art history law.
I did,
So
yes.
you always had a passion for art?
Yeah, I think I always knew that was where I would actually sort of get some joy into the studying. And then the law, I mean, I was a really miserable lawyer. I was not good at doing that life.
Did you practice a bit of law at the
I
beginning?
practiced and I got admitted to the bar and then
Yeah.
Oh,
resigned.
my God, you're amazing. Did you ever think about going into arts law, like the
Yeah,
like-
I really should have. I should have thought a bit more laterally about how the law could actually apply to these things, but I think I was truly miserable, and that anything to do with that world just...
What law was it?
It was corporate law. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, and in a very big firm, and so there were sort of 6-minute units that you had to bill for,
Oh
and
my goodness. It's
competitive
so
late
different
nights
to the art
and
world.
things like that. Yeah, and I think we have different ways that we kind of martyr ourselves for our jobs and for the arts, but there it did feel really transactional.
Yeah.
And
claustrophobic.
yeah, and just sort of focuses on things that I realised I didn't give a hoot about. And so coming over to Melbourne and doing a Masters of Art Curatorship kind of felt like a really easy decision and a big escape from a potential track that once you get on that track, it feels quite hard to get off. But I never got far enough down the track. Never sort
Jumped
of
up before you made your turn.
Did you go back to that careers advisor?
I don't even remember who it was.
Yeah, exactly.
It was just sort of, and it was
If
probably...
you're listening now, look at her now. Listen on.
Yeah,
So,
funny times.
Why curatorship?
I actually thought it would be more arts management, and when I got there, realised that curatorship was this world that I didn't really knew existed.
Yeah.
And I think that still stands. I mean, my dad still sometimes, I think, looks at me a bit in a baffled way, and once he did say to me, "So what do you do once the exhibition is open?"
Yeah.
Silence.
I'll have a spa day.
Yeah.
You know.
And I love that because it is a mystery. But it's such a, once you get into seeing how many parts it takes to put an exhibition together and realise that the curator has this like magic role, which is a lot of emails and a lot of organising and a lot of sort of like menial tasks, but you get this joy of seeing the parts come together.
Yeah.
And the main part, working with the artists, is obviously that's the magic in there.
And having that that legal background would have trained you in organisational skills and appropriateness and what was right and
basic
law.
contracts obviously
Correct.
are very, very across the board here, different jurisdictions and copyright and even research. Like you do still, when you're putting an exhibition together, if you're not researching thoroughly, then you can sort of regret a few things. So yeah, it has been useful, but only when I look at it in the rearview mirror, it makes a lot of sense. But at the time, it just felt like I was kind of stumbling from one thing to the next.
Yeah. So you say, so I guess like for the listeners, the idea of what else is curating, I guess. I think most
and what
of
do
us,
you do when the show's up?
most of us kind of understand the kind of putting of images together and, telling a story in the exhibition or whatever. But what else goes on?
And it sort of depends where you're working as well and who the exhibition is for, who's asked you to do it. So for the sake of sort of a case study, if I was, at the moment, I've just finished working on a big show at the Potter, which is not purely photographic, but it gives you a good idea of how an institutional show works. And that 2 years previous, a curator is commissioned to respond to a brief in a way. Like a director will approach a curator. This was an external one, and she said, we have these amazing collections across the whole of University of Melbourne. Can you help us rethink it from an international perspective? And so Chus Martínez, who I've been working with for the last 18 months or so, she came in and looked at all of these collections and brought in loans and brought in commissions in order to make sense of them in a new way. So she began with the idea of 3 very basic entities: a velvet ant, a flower, and a bird, which is the title of the show, and then spun a whole lot of stories from there. And I guess curating at its heart is storytelling, whether it's the artist's stories, whether it's a collection story, whether it is a story about a period of time, like The Basement that we were talking about before we started the podcast. We were talking about that show at MAF, which was so amazing, looking at that specific period. Yeah. Or it may be the story of one person's life if it's a monographic show.
Yeah, amazing.
So that's sort of like the basic premise, and then on a practical level, you've then got all of the approaches to artists. First off, meeting with the artist, seeing whether they want to be in the show, and that's sort of like an ongoing unpaid part of a job, is that you do need to be meeting and have genuine interest and curiosity in what is being made in your city, but also outside of your city and around the world, and try to get those people to sort of share with you and open up or research them in meaningful ways without immediately committing to making false promises is like a really horrible feeling as a curator. If you feel like you're wanting to put these feelers out and meet these artists, but you don't know when it might actually be that connection
come to fruition.
And also I imagine it's, depending who else becomes part of the show, and then if there's a place actually for that person, or if there are too many places are being filled up by a certain kind of demographic.
And that's where commissions are super interesting as well, because a really fun part of making exhibitions can be working with artists to commission them to respond to your exhibition brief.
Amazing.
And
funding the artists.
What about
that?
Yeah. And actually, I was speaking with my boss about that the other day, and the way that we have commissioned for this recent exhibition is to commission solely for the exhibition. So it's not an acquisition. It is just a lump sum in an agreement that says we're commissioning you to make work for this show. It will be yours at the end. If the university decides to purchase it, then that's a separate conversation.
Okay.
And that's a way of actually making the arts ecology function a little bit perhaps more fluidly, because you're not, and it happens for a couple of reasons. One is that you're actually giving that artist an opportunity to make their work in a funded way and not be tied to not having it in the end. You're allowing the artist's dealer to then take a cut on the sale of that work afterwards, whereas if it's a commissioning agreement, they generally don't. And dealers need to make money too. But also it frees the artist from having to make something that fits into the collection, so they can actually go off and make something that is truly just for that show.
So, the places you've worked are just incredible, and it's just to work in one of them's a bit of a dream. Starting working backwards. The Ian Potter Gallery.
So the Potter Museum of Art.
Museum of Art, thank you. So it seems like quite a different institution to the other places that you've worked.
It is.
Can you maybe talk a little bit about how a bigger institution like that, the differences with your role? You're
right. So I've worked at quite a few places that have either been small or medium-sized or festivals. And all of those three things, they, particularly here in Melbourne, I think they really punch above their weight, each one of those. CCP, for instance, has always been a place full of ideas and camaraderie, and I learnt so much at CCP from 2011 to 2016 or so, I think I was there. And then MAF as well, you've got a small team running an institution that looks like it's got more behind it than it potentially does. And so to come into the Potter, where you're part of a big team, it's Art Museum's team as part of University of Melbourne, and so it runs the Potter, it runs Buxton Contemporary, Science Gallery, and Old Quad, and it has the human resources to make that a really wonderful experience. And so I've just revelled in the way that they have an exhibition management set of people. They have people who deal with the loans and the collection management, and then they have people who do the engagement, and the curators actually get to curate.
So you've gone from wearing many hats in all of the jobs, which has been an incredible grounding for you, to now working on exactly what it is that you want to be doing, and there's other people to support you and do those
and to learn from.
And to learn from.
Yeah, and
How
to
wonderful.
feed in new ways to them as well. There's definitely there's definitely conversations with all of those different groups of people. But to have people with more knowledge than me around me is really awesome.
And it's interesting for our listeners as well, because there's a lot of people that, like Harry, that think or that would want to do I can't say it, curatorialship. It's really hard. Curatorship, thanks, that's going to be easier. But like any job, I think there's two schools of thought. I think it's really great to be in small places where you wear many hats and you get to try lots of different things, because it might have not been the road you wanted to go down.
Yes.
Right, given that you went down law and you went, well, I'm going to try this, not saying anything about you personally.
No, but the false starts.
Yeah, the false starts. But you could have gone, well, I might have gone down that path or that path. So do you think that that's worked in your favour for where you are now, rather than starting off in a big institution and then going backwards?
100%.
Yep. Great.
100%, because that alacrity that is built, those muscles that you build by seeing actually what it takes to put a show together on the smell of an oily rag, or in an institution where you're involved in every level of the process.
I guess you would have been just a plum candidate when you went in, because not only were you now able to focus on being a curator, you would also appreciate and understand all of the other areas. So you're not going to bag that area by going, why haven't you done this yet? Because you're going to go, I get how long this is taking and how this... So that would have been a wonderful thing for them. As soon as they met you, they would have gone...
Definitely a lot of respect.
Did you apply? Did they
things.
approach you? Were you poached?
It was a parental leave position, and I applied, but it was very late notice on that one.
And that might be a good segue to talk about being a parent as well.
Yeah. I mean,
it's something that we've focused on a little bit in a few of our meetings along the way. And tell us, how does that fit in with your family? And when I saw you before, you said, well, I went out and had another child, and now I'm back again, and off I go.
So I've got two little ones, and they're 6 and 3. And I had my first child while I was Senior Curator at MAF, and that was a great place to be working during parental leave, because it's a place where there's sort of steady funding and support, and it's part of a city council, and so there's stability that goes with that. And I think working in the arts, there's a lot of trepidation that goes with taking parental leave, because we do feel precarious in our jobs a lot of the time.
Yeah.
We're either self-reliant, we're freelancers, we're jumping between contracts, and that doesn't really, well, for me, that hasn't really stopped, because even though I was beautifully supported in taking that parental leave and then going back, doing some cool shows, and then having another child, once I left there, it was definitely contract work from there on, and I'm still on contract work. So I'm at the Potter. I'm currently finishing out that parental leave contract and looking around.
And looking. Hello, everyone out there.
Everybody out there.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
So you definitely know the person's coming back?
They've come back, and they are amazing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
and look, it is the sort of place where you do good work, and I mean, I guess this is my philosophy across the whole thing, is that do good work, and stuff will happen,
And another door opens.
exactly, and it may not connect, it may not sort of work immediately, or you may need to sort of take little I do writing contracts whenever I can get them, because they're just little sort of bits in the bank, and they're also lovely ways of connecting with individual artists or different galleries.
So writing about their work?
Often, with the last sort of 3 or 4 commissions have actually just been artists approaching me saying, I've got a commercial gallery I've got a commercial show coming up, would you write 500 words? And that sort of then leads to the next one, and it is this little domino effect.
It's really great to have something that you can not fall back on, but just something that kind of ticks along on the side.
Exactly.
So I guess like that sort of instability kind of must have happened quite hard after the news of Photo Festival, which was,
Yeah.
shocked and rippled, throughout the industry. But I don't want to so much, focus on the sad fact that it closed, but more about kind of how was that working for Photo and going to Arles and
That was,
that must have been an incredible experience.
The really cool thing about that was that it allowed me to sort of shift focus again from having gone from really curating indoors.
Yeah.
Curating at CCP, which was the most lovely building to work with.
Yes.
That space, that Sean
beautiful.
Godsill building that just really held those works in such a beautiful way and processed people through a space.
Kind of spiraled
exactly.
you in, didn't it?
It was sort of like that nautilus that could work for one show but could also work for 4 shows, and it was a really fun space to work with. And then out to MAF, which was actually, and then up to Goma, which was big indoor spaces, but then MAF is that Harry Seidler building, so a mid-century building that was a lot of curves and carpet and interesting things, but still museum controls and careful thought into how people would actually enter, process through, and take in the works that they had chosen to go and see. And that's what Photo really did for me, was okay, we're now working at the largest scale you can get away with.
Possibly have.
And outdoors.
Outdoors. And those people are not choosing to see that work.
So different.
It's that. So there's no choice. So you're actually interrupting people's days at time rather than engaging with them in a
Because they want to be there.
consensual relationship. But there's also the competition that you're dealing with, which is advertising. So you're putting up an arts festival, which is beside an ad campaign, and that visual language is batting off each other, and the general public getting on and off the tram and going to work and doing their shopping, they're not cognizant of that.
Yes.
So sort of going through all those curatorial processes and discussions with the artists and with Brendan McCleary, the other curator there, and with Elias Redstone, those conversations were really mind expanding.
Yeah, so interesting.
And fruitful.
Yeah.
Because it was sort of like, well, they'd already done 2 festivals before I joined. And in my interview for that, they did say, if there was one artist you could work with, who would you try and bring into the festival? And I said Carmen Wynant and Carmen Wynant. And Elias said, great. Once I got the job, he was like, great, try and do it. And you know that feeling where you've worked in institutions, and I haven't worked in really slow-moving institutions because I've worked in medium-sized ones, but there's not that nimbleness to be like, cool, just
do it.
Like, call her
Reach
up,
out.
see if you can do it.
Wow, how wonderfully freeing.
So that was, and that was a little career highlight, actually, to get Carmen involved in the festival and to do that small show, which we actually did end up doing indoors because of all of those things that I just listed then, like the people not deciding to view the work, and it being, when it's in a public space, it being sort of encountered by absolutely everyone, or anyone, I should say, not everyone. Carmen's work requires thoughtful engagement and dealing with concepts of abortion and things that were, and even birth, like people really...
Bit too confrontational for getting off the bus going shopping.
Exactly, So we worked with a small gallery to do that.
That would be another huge part of being a curator too, is looking at the art in front of you and working out what's possible and what's appropriate. And would it be an education process as well? If somebody said, I'm hell-bent on doing it like this, and you're there, well...
It's a constant conversation, isn't it? And that's with artists, and that's also with the powers that be within any institution that you're working with. And sometimes the powers that be are the larger, like the bosses. Sometimes it's the city council, sometimes it's the board members. It changes from venue to venue as to who you need to answer to.
I guess it would make for somebody in your role to actually be very confident with your decision. You'd have to be very much able to stand up. So I'm thinking a law background would be really good for you.
Yeah, that's
to be very, because you're very articulate and you've used 3 words that I don't even know what they mean because they're fabulous.
I do love words.
Yeah, I know. I can tell. I love words too, and I'm just trying to remember what they were. But you do have to own who you are and stand by your conviction.
That's
Would that be
true,
fair to say?
Sally. You do have to stand by your decisions, but you also have to be super willing to admit when you're wrong.
Yep.
And to acknowledge the unknown unknowns. You know, you can go in there gung-ho and say, I think it's ridiculous that we don't put these abortion works in the public sphere. This is a topic of our times.
Yeah.
We need the person getting off the bus to deal with this. And then you might get a whole lot of other facts, and you might get a whole lot of other situations that inform you that that's actually not the best course, and
And
the
then there's a
artist
school
doesn't
next door, or
necessarily
that
want
there's-
it, or something
exactly.
like that. And so having a firm sense of reason is really great, but also like that curiosity to work out what is the right way forward.
What is the right, not what's your
Vision.
best
Yeah,
idea,
exactly.
but actually what's the right way
Well,
for
it
the
gets
work
back to
and the
something we
artist.
talk about a lot too, is about collaboration, isn't it?
It is,
Everything
yeah.
from the minute that you start doing that from all different areas.
Yeah.
It's that collaboration process, isn't
It
it?
totally is, and it's also an acknowledgement that the curator's not actually an artist, and they can have a vision, and they can even have like a really strong visual philosophy to what they're doing, but the artists are the artists and the audience is the audience, and they have a right
They're the ones having a conversation.
Yeah.
That's actually an interesting question that I wanted to ask you, that you obviously have a passion for other people's artwork and other people realising their artwork.
Yes.
Is that something that do you have a creative side yourself? Do you produce art
I
yourself?
don't produce art
Yeah.
at all. I love writing,
Yep.
and I love writing about art, and I appreciate art. But no, I'd say exhibition making is the only aspect, like
That's pretty creative as
creative
well, though.
aspect. It kind of sometimes is, and it sometimes isn't. And the word curator is just all about caring. Like,
Yes.
to curate is to care for a collection or for a body of work, and I think for me that with that comes you're also caring for the people who are involved in that
That's
situation.
so beautiful.
When we were both talking about your past and everything, there was at a time when you were an intern at the Venice Biennale. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So,
How did that come about?
well, first time for Venice. So I've been to 2 Venice Biennales, and
Sorry, I've only just mentioned one.
no,
Okay, twice.
I only say it because so I'm from New Zealand. If you hadn't noticed the
Yeah,
accent,
got it.
yeah, got the accent, clocked it. And so I applied to be an attendant at the New Zealand Pavilion. But with the Masters of Art, and that was really wonderful. That was a really cool pavilion, actually. And with the Masters of Art Curatorship at Melbourne Uni, you have to do an internship. And the the Australian presence at Venice was offering an internship for the Australian Pavilion. And so I double dipped, and I did my internship with the Aussies, and then walked down the canal.
Amazing.
And did some time with the Kiwis. And that was intense. It was a super intense time. The Venice Biennale is a really wild
They're Italian.
place. Yeah, they're Italian, and then you add the art world to the Italians, and there's sort of so much going on. The year that I did that was Simran Gill was representing Australia, and Bill Culbert was representing New Zealand. Very, very different shows, but doing it for 2 different countries was kind of cool, because I saw the different communities that were required to make them happen for these two different places. So Australia has its own pavilion, and that's in the Giardini, and then New Zealand doesn't have a pavilion. It's one of a number of countries that participate in the Biennale but don't have a set place. So they hire a different position or location within the city of Venice each time. And even just seeing the different funding models, the different teams of people who would come over and realise an exhibition, the village that it takes to put on any exhibition, but then you add doing it on the other side of the world, doing it in a city where there are no trucks, there are no deliveries, getting the freight to the other side of the world and then getting it delivered to the pavilion on a little barge, and then getting things taken away, like getting your rubbish taken away, getting people to your event, making sure that your event is actually accessible and things like that. It's just
amazing.
Wild.
Incredible. To become like a town planner as well.
There is totally, and that I would say that echoes back to photo as well, where something that Brendan McCleary was just like amazing at is problem solving. And you find that the problems aren't, this artwork doesn't go with that artwork. It's like
they've closed the roads.
I needed to get a traffic dispensation to get the scissor lift up at 4 a.m. to do this. And he is one of those people who holds so much information about what is required to make these outlandish things happen in unorthodox places around the city.
Yeah.
And he's also got a whole lot of gumption and a whole lot of kind of like, what's it called when you can just ask people anything?
Yeah.
And if they say no, that's cool.
Ballsy.
But if they say yes, he's ballsy. Yeah.
And then it rains.
I know, exactly. Or then there's a heat wave and you can't install that day
melt.
or something like that.
Yeah, there's just it's like putting a big photo shoot together, isn't it?
It is.
And it's one of the things that you can't change is the weather or other people.
Yep, and you realise that you have to learn about engineering and wind speed or something like that, and stuff that I hadn't been trained in. And I think that's something that is really worth noting, is that you can't do a degree that teaches you all of those things.
Yeah.
It is about learning on the job.
But I think any degree in anything, especially within the creative industry, is you go there to begin a network, and you go there to learn, your raw skills.
Yes.
And then it's once you are out in the industry. I remember my dad, who's now 96, he said many years ago, he said all her life she wanted to be a photographer, so she went and studied photography, and then when she left, she worked within a studio where she learnt a little bit more about photography, but a lot about life. And I think that's the entire journey, isn't it? Is life happens in and around it all, and you meet and network and you talk to all of these amazing people and then create who you are and shape what you want to be doing next time. And
that's exactly it. And I think that also, if you wait for the perfect conditions to start doing whatever it is, whether it's doing the photo shoots or making the series or curating the show, they're never going to arrive.
You're never going to get it done, yeah. When we started, it wasn't Photo Collective then, but it was the first iteration of it. We started, we came up with the idea, and then we were like, right, we're going to start doing grants. We're going to try and get a grant to help us fund this. And so we just started looking, and after about a month, we were like, we're just grant writing. This is not what we want to be doing. And so we went, okay, sod the grants. Let's just do it. And then, if you build it, they will come, hopefully.
Exactly. Just do good work.
Yeah, just do good work. Work with good people and do good work. So I wonder if you can kind of, for our listeners out there, what is it that you really look for in photographers getting into the art world? So, there's so many young artists out there that feel like the art world is impenetrable. What would you say, what's some advice that you would give to them that...
You know what, it does seem impenetrable at times, but I think a lot of us feel like that.
Yes.
And so... you're not alone in feeling that. And if you just actually start to go to as many stupid events, I know how many events there are constantly in the art world. There's the artist talks, there's the evenings, there's the Sunday morning I can't even
opening the closing
yes, exactly. I feel like I've just come out of a week of that and I can't even articulate what they are. But
the opening of an envelope.
Yeah, exactly.
Isn't it? Oh, let's do it. Yeah.
And so going along to those and making friends, working out who your people are, that's one way. And the other sort of advice is to just apply.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's very easy to put things into the too hard basket for everybody, but it always boils down to that hunger and that drive, doesn't it? And the networking, and even the three of us, we knew each other from, I think maybe
PSC.
PSC.
Yeah.
Oh my God, even that.
And CCP
and
probably.
CCP, and then you guys know each other, and I mean our whole podcast has been built on our networks, and there's many times where we could have all put things in the too hard basket.
Yeah.
But that's what this industry's about, isn't it? And you've got to do what it takes, and if it means packing shelves at night time to support that career.
That's so true. I think the other thing, and I guess this goes for a lot of things in life, but make record of what you do, because you never know when it sort of either might be useful to refer back to for yourself, or who might see it.
Can you explain that a little bit more?
So I guess for a photographer, for someone who is interested in being in the art world, having a little website, and it doesn't need to be super perfect, but having something so that if a person can think of you and then go to that and find out a little bit more, have their memory jogged as to why they thought of you, document the projects that you've worked on, you just actually never know how useful that is for the people who are trying to put these things together. And at where I work at the moment, we have hot desks, and so we're not allowed to have anything on our desks. And what I really miss is having the postcards up from all the shows. And I used to, my desks were always pasted around with things that people had given me, a flyer for a show that they had coming up that was 3 years ago now, but it's still sitting on my desk, and then you're starting to do a show about like death and cemeteries, and you're like, oh, there was that person who was doing that. There they are. They're sort of somewhere.
Yeah.
And I know that Instagram and that websites and things do provide those for us, but the odd postcard on your kitchen bench or on your desk.
It's so really important. Nice. I think also when you really take note and put it out there, you can really sort of see what you're doing as well.
Yeah.
Like I've got sort of similar to that. I was teaching a class last week at PSC, and we were doing CV writing, which is, a little bit drier than this, but
super necessary.
It's about kind of like writing everything that you do down. And in my CV a few years ago, I just started writing down. I was like, I'm not putting on many exhibitions. I'm not making photo books. What do I put on my CV? And I was like, well, I'm doing all these kind of public speaking things. And so I started kind of putting all that on my CV. And the students said to me, can we see your CV at the end? And I said, okay. And I pulled it up, and they were like, wow, look at all that stuff. And I just kind of add it to the top layer and then save it and send it off. But they were like, suddenly you go, oh, okay, this is actually what I'm doing. My practice isn't really about exhibiting necessarily at the moment or making a photo book, but actually I'm
still
doing
all.
Well, I think I've done a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I never would have thought that if I hadn't really written down that
I couldn't
this is
agree
the area
more.
I'm working in.
You also just don't know what you're learning while you're learning it, and then you look back and you're like, oh, I'm actually not as stupid as I thought I was.
I know some things.
I know some things.
I couldn't agree more, and I think that's where LinkedIn became a really interesting tool as well. To be able to update yourself constantly on LinkedIn, and whether it's just your photo or, oh, gosh, I've done that and I've done that and I've done this. And once you're 2 years out of uni and then you're 4 years out of uni, but when you get to 10 or 15 years out of uni, and I'm working with people and they're trying to go for a job and they've rung me and said, I've applied for 80 jobs and I haven't heard back on one of them, and I'll go, well, there is something fundamentally wrong that you're doing. Let me have a look at your cover letter and your CV. And they've just missed out whole chunks of what they did that was relevant to that job. And,
Exactly.
But it's a
and
bit
your
like,
CV doesn't always stay the same because it is really good to tailor it for a certain job that you're applying for.
but you can become we're sort of going off on a bit of a tangent here, but it's a bit like looking in the wardrobe for something to wear, isn't it? It's just like, I can't find anything, yet there's a whole wardrobe full of clothes. So your career has been wonderful, and we are now looking at you looking for something else once this has all come through.
What's next?
What is
what
next?
do you think will...
And if anybody wants to employ Pippa Milne,
yeah, please
contact Harry or I directly.
What are you missing in your toolkit, Pippa?
Yeah. I'd actually really love to do more shows within a supported institution like the one, like the Potter, because of what I really think is one of the best things that you can do is surround yourself with people who are smarter than you.
Yes.
And so to work...
That's what Harry does.
Excellent. Good job, Harry.
I'm smart like that.
And so to sort of like have these people who have totally different skill sets from you that you've tried to do in other institutions, and so you have like the utmost respect for, but know that you don't necessarily want to do their job.
Okay, so
really
without giving away too much, do you have somewhere in mind? Are you going to approach them yourself, or are you going to wait? Or because I've always got this theory, and I will say it till I'm blue in the face, I never wait for a job to come up, just approach people.
Yeah.
Are you going to do that?
Do you know what?
Pressure's on.
Yeah, I love this pressure. It's like actual real-time thinking because I'm so tired. I'm like,
Poor darling, we can't even believe you're here.
You've just done this massive month and we're like, what next?
this is like a therapy
And I
session.
said to Harry this morning, have you confirmed with Pippa? And she said, well, she's a professional. She'd been here. And I said, she's half dead. Like, she just might not even know it's a Monday. Text her.
No, it's I'm here and my eyes are open and I think I've made some sense.
You have
but
been
not a lot.
wonderful.
You have been amazing.
But what were we just talking about?
Who knows?
Will you approach someone?
Approaching someone. I love the thought of approaching someone, and I need to. Do you know that feeling where you feel like I just need like a day to myself to sit down and think?
Oh, yeah.
To sort of just like put everything, let the bits of sand trickle into the right places. And I know we never get time to actually do that because when you do, something else comes up. But I'd love to focus a bit more on the writing. I'd love to stay working at a place where there is support and stability and people smarter than me, and to be able to draw photography into those types of places. Feels like, having specialised and curated photography for the last 12 years or so, part of the wonderful thing about being at the Potter has been being able to feel like I've got some knowledge to bring in a certain place, in a certain area, into a generalist place.
Yeah.
Can I have another question? You sure?
Of course.
Thanks, Harry. If you weren't a curator now, given all of the different things that you've done, what would you do?
Just read novels all day,
Dream.
every day.
The dream.
Like just work my way through so many novels.
Yeah,
And
we all want that dream. I mean, within, we all want that on a beach with a cocktail.
Let her have it. Oh, I'm there with you.
With an umbrella. Yeah, let's just all focus and visualise that. Okay, move on. Like in that space, is there anything else other than being a curator within the art space that you can see yourself, someone else's job that you... whose job do you want?
I love making exhibitions.
carer.
I love it.
The carer.
I really love it because you know how you're supposed to climb up. And if I kept on climbing, it would be like you'd want to be a director.
Director, that's where I was going. You don't want it.
I shouldn't say this on a record, on the record, but I feel like sometimes the higher up you get within on that ladder, the further away you get from doing the stuff that you got into the industry to do. And I didn't get in there to manage people. And I love people, and I think I can have good conversations with them, and maybe that translates to being an okay manager. But my skill set is, or not my skill set, my actual passion is in making exhibitions and also communicating them, like with writing, with conversations, with public programs, with that sort of thing. Because I think that the arts does a really dud job of actually connecting general people with what we're doing, because what we're doing is not actually as elite and as scary and as closed as it is.
Making it
desperately
accessible.
Want people to come to these things.
Yeah, exactly. Be a part of it.
Yeah.
We've got our arms open.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope this camera is picturing Harry's face while you're talking, because it's just like...
You're my hero.
You don't know how lovely that is, but how misguided you are.
I love it. I love fangirling. I love it. There's always someone that I totally fangirl after every season. So you're the one, Pippa.
You're the one, this one, baby.
This is a first.
Well, thank you. I think I've felt
Oh yeah,
the hands waving.
Yeah.
So we'd love to thank you so much in this time of utter exhaustion. You look fabulous, and you've got two little people at home as well. So I would like you to leave here now, go home, read a book.
Thank you.
Have a chocolate bar.
Yes.
And just can't thank you enough.
Yeah,
what an illustrious
Thanks
career.
so much for
And
coming in.
Harry.
we can't wait to see what you do next.
Oh,
and
good, me too.
we'll get you on another one. Don't you worry about it.
Awesome.
And if anybody's out there looking for someone like Pippa, contact Harry and I. We'll take a commission.
Thank you for having me. So
Thank
nice
you
to be
so
here.
much, darling.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. See you, Harry.
Bye.
Bye.
We just want to thank all our fabulous crew that are working with us on season 3 of When Harry Met Sally. Shaquille Raymond, back for season 3. Couldn't do this without you.
God love him. I'm glad he keeps coming back. Ezra Williams, who's just started with us this year, who is working with us on filming, videoing, social media and all other things fabulous. And a huge thank you to Ash Wilson, who will be working alongside Ezra, editing all of the videos for YouTube. Thanks, Ash.
And Martin Stevens, Sally's wonderful husband, and also music extraordinaire, who's done our intros and outros for 3 seasons now. Thank you so much, Martin.
Yay, Martin. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube, Ash Peters, we'd like to say thank you for supplying the artwork to put in the pod suite. It's made a huge difference. Thanks, guys.
Thanks so much for listening. See you next week.
Bye.